I'll call this meeting to order of the Brawley City Council and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency, regular meeting of June the 21st at 6 p.m. And roll call.
Minutes are reflected, all the council members are present.
Okay, invocation.
All right, let's all stand.
Mr. Henry.
Let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we are thankful to you again this evening for your hand of safekeeping, for your blessings that you pour out on the city of Brawley every day. We thank you for each staff member, for each employee, for each council member, and we ask that you would continue to keep us safe, continue to bless the city, that you would guide us with your wisdom, that our government would be upon your shoulders, that we would have peace in our city, that we would have prosperity. We ask that you would continue to guide us in this meeting this evening and throughout the rest of this year. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance.
Please join me in the pledge. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay, approval of agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda as written.
Okay.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, approved. Okay, we'll go to public appearances and comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. And I think we have a lady in the audience that would like to address us, and she will do that by portable microphone.
They're going to start first.
Good
Yes.
evening, council members.
Could you lower the microphone for her?
Can you help?
Councilmember Hamby, if you can.
Thank you.
This evening, I'm here representing a lot of my fellow swimmers at the Lions Center.
Could you please state your name for the record,
Oh,
please?
yes. Celia Santana,
Okay.
representing fellow swimmers at the Lions Center pool.
Okay.
There's been a lot of grumbling at the pool, and I hope that I can provide some information that could basically provide a solution as well. Last year, I learned how to swim. I was at the pool for aqua zumba, lap swimming. I was there probably 3 or 4 hours a day. And it went very well. So I expected the same this year. This year, there's been a lot of schedule changes. There's been a lot of revisions. Even this week, there was another revision for 3 more days of closure for us to be able to swim. The lap swimmers went from swimming 5 days a week to 3 days a week. The lap swimmers went from having a very limited space for swimming. I've actually seen a collision of 2 of our swimmers and a near collision yesterday. And there are a lot more of us this year using the pool. You do provide lap swimming hours during the noon hours, but it's very limited as to how many people can actually take advantage of that time. Due to the work schedule, it's hard to get there at noon, and it's also very hot. And I understand that we must share the pool. You know, a lot of people want to use the pool. We have family swim, we have lap swimming, we have lessons going on, we have a team practicing as well. And I also understand that this year, the pool will be closing early, by August, mid-August, for repairs. But I also see that we have plenty of lifeguards, and those lifeguards are ready to work. And we also have on the schedule a prime time hour from 7 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m., where there is nothing scheduled in the pool. And what we would like considered is that during that time, we gain some of our lap time swimming back. Because there are a lot of people that need the pool, use the pool, and we would like to be, have at least the time that we had last year, if possible. I thank you, and I apologize for my attire, but I'm going swimming as soon as I get done. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment? Come to the microphone.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me here. My name is Gloria Jauregui, and I too, like Mrs. Santana, have been swimming maybe 30, 40 years at the pool because I love the water. And since we've started doing Aqua Zumba, the classes have been from 7 to 8, which is a perfect time because that's about the time that the sun starts setting in the area that we exercise. Our time has been changed from 5:30 to 6:45, and it's hotter during that time. And not just that, but like, I'm 70, and it's a hard class, but it's a fun class, and it does get very hot. It's also very hot for our instructor because she's on the deck. She's not allowed to go in the water. So if at all possible, we would appreciate the change because today's the first day of summer, and it's hot. And it's going to get hotter as the summer progresses. And we've been in the water at times where you feel the vapor from the water come up from the heat. So if it's hot between 7 and 8, between 5:30 and 6:45, it's only going to get worse. So I would appreciate anything that you can help us with. And me too, I'm going swimming after this. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Marisa Encinas, and I've been at the pool for the last 14 years, and I swim all year round. 2 years ago, for some medical issues, I stopped swimming and I started walking in the pool. And I'm hearing rumors they're going to close the pool, I guess, for some repairs. And I don't know if there's any way I can get some information, but I'm hoping it won't be that long. Because the longer I'm not in the pool, the more I'm going to end up probably either falling while I'm walking or, as the doctor said, bedridden. So I'm hoping if they do close it down, it's really because they're going to repair it, not like in 2019 when they closed it down and they didn't repair it. And that's when my mobility started failing. So I'm just hoping if I can get some answers, I'd appreciate it. But if they're really going to close it down, and hopefully it's not too long.
Yeah, okay.
And similar to them, I'm actually heading out to the pool too. I got to go get dressed.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great to see a lot of use.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I might mention, these are definitely the ladies that keep me on track when I do show up at the pool, especially in the evening, but maybe some of that I'm sure, I think if we have answers to, I think there is a plan for the pool closure for a very significant project, long awaited, so there's obviously a lot of excitement behind it, so I've been trying to get the word out. I'm sure as Rachel and her staff, where we can, but I think that plan is to get through the summer and try to minimize the impact and closing it down. We're literally talking about fully draining and complete demolition, rebuild, refurbish.
Yes.
We'll end up with a new product, and I think all of us know that use it. It's in dire need of that attention. But believe me, I think all of us want to see it back as quick as possible. I think we're looking at maybe a 2-month window. It could be longer, could be less. But as soon as it's back up and running, the users, I think, will be open. I see a nodding head, so that's good. I know I've had a lot of conversation with our parks manager. Mr. Mayor, I don't know if it's even appropriate to even you want Rachel to come up?
If you'd like to come up
Okay,
and
yeah,
give them
if
a little
there's-
bit of information.
she knows
that would
better
be
than I do.
Probably great. Very briefly, please.
Very briefly, we're trying to balance all of the users. We have a great deal of more users this year, and we are looking to replace the plaster in October. We're still waiting for the state to give us the date that they're going to release the funds, but our target date is October, and as soon as we find out when that timeline specifically is, we'll go ahead and we'll put that out, and we'll keep you informed.
And
We
also
have
on
a
the
time-
agenda today, excuse me, Mayor, is action item in regards to that repair public hearing that we'll get to.
Okay.
And one last thing is that some of these closures of recent, as Councilmember Morton is aware, it's been safety hazards with electrical lights falling into the water, coming through. I mean, it's a definite safety hazard, and that is why we are seriously going to repair that pool to tip-top shape, which is very expensive, but we're going to get it done. So that's, some of those things are unavoidable, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I would just ask staff to check with them, talk to the ladies about hours, if they can be adjusted, if they cannot, let's talk to them a little bit about that. And then, are you anticipating, how long will it be closed when they do the repairs? I know that's hard to say because things can happen, but.
The contractor mentioned about 60 days, but it just all depends, you
Sure.
know. It could be more, like Donnie said, it could be less. It just depends.
Well,
But as
I
soon
would
as we have
suggest
more
that it's
information.
probably going to be more rather than less, because that's usually what happens when we're doing any kind of construction project. But hopefully it'll be done expeditiously and we can move forward and get people back into the pool. It does need to be done, and there's no doubt about that. I think just for safety alone and for the pool and for all the people that use it, it does need to be done, so. Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, ladies, for coming in.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Be safe out there.
Yeah.
yes.
Longest day of the year, and it's the
Zumba.
beginning of summer, so.
Yeah.
Beginning of the summer, yeah,
Today's
first
the
day.
long- today's the
Do we have any other members of the public wanting to come up? I think Mr. Gonzalez.
Charles Swimming, not here, right? Two things real quick. Today, Brawley High School started their first day of the training with law enforcement today so I was there for most of the morning. Pretty awesome to have Border Patrol and Brawley PD on campus. They're doing, it's gonna be 3 days. I believe Thursday will be the actual full run-through, but they're doing, so good job, Chief, with getting that set up. Second, I came, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, we talked about thieves and crooks and all the bad stuff going on in Brawley. Well, I got hit Saturday, okay, with my dogs, but it happened outside the fence, so they didn't get a chance to eat. They stole a truck and trailer from the front of our shop. CHP and Brawley PD did recover the trailer. Of course, it's completely torn apart. It belonged to the dog groomer that Pink Paws, she's been with me for 13 years of storage, right? So, of course, I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna help her out as much as I can to help her get back on her feet. She's a small business. I don't know if you guys heard, but Daniel's Tire had 3 vehicles stolen a week and a half ago. They completely closed their doors Friday. They shut down, they're no longer in business. They moved out of Brawley, they moved all their inventory to the 2 El Centro locations. And that's a big hit. Daniel's Tire, Kennedy's has been around for 50 years in Brawley, and I know they bring a lot of tax money to our town because they do have big sales there. But we're not the only ones. D&H, A&R Construction had 2 service trucks stolen. Kenny Steele's had a container broken into. I know some of the local little beauty salon that belongs to Mrs. Banda's daughter got broken into over the weekend. And I get it, it comes from the top. It's nothing our PD that they're not doing, but what can we do to push our state to help us? This is gonna hurt me financially, it's gonna hurt all these other shops financially, and at the end of the day, is who can afford to stay open the longest? And with the way the economy's going, who knows what's gonna happen, right? So I'm just kinda worried about what we're doing, how we can find some money to put some cameras up and down Main Street, some license. I have cameras in my office, but where she parked, I couldn't see who walked up to the door of the truck. I could see the truck drive off, but I couldn't see who was in the vehicle. So I'm looking at a $5,000 upgrade in cameras right now just to cover my blind spots. And it's summertime and it hurts. You guys know what summertime is. For some of us it works great, but for some of us it hurts. So again, I want you guys to see what you guys could do to push, to find us money, find us something to get us some more help. Simple cameras can see which way the vehicle's going. I know we have the LPRs and stuff like that, but is it enough? I don't think so. Brawley's getting hit hard. And my wife works at the DA's office, and it's true, we're getting hit hard. You know, when do we say when, or when do Sean Whittle, Newcastle Farms, he called me about an hour ago. He got hit over the weekend. The guy did it broad daylight, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He's walking his yard. They don't even care if it's nighttime or daytime. But like he said, he goes, do I need to sleep in my shop at night? Do we need to start protecting our own property? And I think that's what it's coming to. So we just need help from the city of Brawley.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a comment?
Sure.
It just, from last time, I know it's open, kind of our public comment session, and we're not deciding on an item, but I do want to make it's difficult for me to be quiet because sometimes I think it displays to the public that we're not doing something. So I do want to make clear what we have been doing. And we mentioned this last time. We've invested actually more in our PD in the past year, this past fiscal year, which we're going to talk about actually later today, than I think most cities coming out of COVID, wherever we even think of investing. So it's not inaction. And I feel you, Joel, honestly. I mean, it's like there isn't one of us up here that don't not only hear the same things, know the same things, maybe in some cases know more, right? So here's the thing. It's not the answer. Nothing I'm going to say is the answer. I just want to point out that we are battling borders, battling crime, battling fentanyl, battling youth that has been stuck at home for 2 years. Speaking of school boards and all that, how you've been hampered, right? This is all coming together as a perfect storm. So yeah, it's a social, societal issue. And it pains me a little bit when it sits on a couple of citizens or a handful of citizens to come up with the solution. I'm with you. It's collective. But it's really important that we're not swimming upstream with mis or disinformation as we continue down the road we have. I believe we've made the investment. I'm sure the chief can come up here and not just outline that, so can Carla. There's more investment to make. So my point is we got to speak a little bit more loudly at the California League level, state level. There's a massive surplus. Speaking of gas and gas tax and tax money that's sitting up in Sacramento, unleash it. Get it down here. We get more cops, firefighters on the street, more programs unleashed, like you said, nonprofits. So again, I know I'm soapboxing a little bit, but I really want the public to know we are with you. We see these issues, we experience those issues, we're all on the front line together. And last comment, it does take all of us to protect our property at the end of the day. Always has been, right? 3 cops, 4 cops, 5 cops, you still have 25, 30,000 people in this town, so it takes a collective. But I think the technology helps. It's not enough. There's more coming, I believe, Chief, as we get briefed. But I have seen more things on our agenda in the past year than I have seen in our expenditure for public safety as a whole. And I'm proud of that, but it's not the answer. We need to keep going. We got a lot to do, but I hope the public knows that your council, your staff, your concerned citizens, we got to work together. We can't get adversarial, because I got to be honest with you, Joel, when those comments, there's some actors out there that tend to flip it and make it a political issue. It's not. It's a social issue that we got to solve together.
Yeah, no,
So anyways.
I'm totally coming to you guys. I've talked to some of you guys
I hear you, man.
individually.
Yeah.
Some of you guys know how I feel. Some of you guys know the support I give to this town.
Yeah.
I give my shirt off my back to anybody in this town. But it's not lack of, it's what we can do more as a group.
Yeah.
What can we do to help the PD? They're running, I see them running around. I see them, they're bouncing around call to call. And it wasn't
We
like
watch
that
them.
before. Brawley wasn't like that before.
I don't think in some ways, in my opinion, I don't think the valley or the state or this country has been like that before. I mean, I see a little bit of what's going on just about everywhere, which isn't to exonerate, us, but I'm with you. It's a very challenging time.
And I know it's public comment, but,
Yeah.
and I've stated it before, and I'm actually going to be bringing some items up during my council report. But the thing we face too is and I've said it before many times, is that there are people that need to be in jail and they're not.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the biggest problem.
And there's people that need to be in jail and they're not in jail. And so they're out stealing, committing crime, on drugs, selling drugs, doing whatever it is that they're doing.
Yep.
Or supporting a habit. And whether they're stealing vehicles or breaking in, I've had break-ins at my place, a few times. And so I've had to address it and deal with it but it's just, we do have to work together, you know, and so it's not, and I know you're not coming
Right.
to attack. I mean, you're,
Yeah.
you're very supportive of the efforts. And I would also echo the fact that our police department, I think, is stronger than it has been in many, many, many years. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. I actually received, it wasn't a complaint, it was a concern from a citizen today. And so I was going to bring up that topic and also maybe make some suggestions that I have to work together. And it goes right along the lines that you have in mind, so.
I'm 100% on board to help with whatever. I know we have some
Yeah.
business owners that we just got here too that are 100% to help out the city, because it'll take everybody. It's just not going
Yeah.
to take the police department, fire department. I mean, it takes everybody. So, I mean, just whatever we got to do, let's work together.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Right.
And maybe having, I know that PD had a conversation with business owners in the past, but maybe now is the time to revisit that topic and really kind of focus in on that effort, because I think the attendance the last time wasn't as, maybe as strong as it could have been, and now we can have maybe a stronger voice. So there's, you know, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Also, I believe the chief brought forward last meeting in regards to misdemeanor violations, and now there's more opportunity to arrest individuals that are violators, and there's more bond issues that are coming up where they have to provide a bond to get out of jail, et cetera. That was not happening during COVID, and I think that resulted in some of the things that we're seeing now. I think with that in place, and it just started again, I think with that ability of the police department to have that extra tool in order to respond, I think that will resolve some of the problem. It's going to consistently be a problem, I think, until we change some things at the state and federal level, and we also look at our own community and how we can do some things a little bit better. But I also think that will be one tool that will help with this problem a little bit. So let's look to that too also. So, thank you. Okay. Moving right along, is anybody else here to provide any public comments to the city council? Go ahead. Come up to the mic.
Yeah, I tried twice, dude. Since you
Morning, gentlemen, city council members, Ryan Revelar, 1172, Calle de Cielo. Sorry I came in unprepared and a little sneaky, but we had football conditioning. Touching on what Joel was talking about, yeah, crime is rampant here throughout our city of Brawley. Our family owns and manages Elms Equipment. We've got 3 facilities, one in Brawley, one in El Centro, and one in Indio. One thing they do have in common is we're getting broken into on a monthly basis. And if it's not batteries, it's an actual work truck that we had stolen from Indio. Tires getting slashed, and like I said, gentlemen, it's not happening here. It's happening throughout the valley, just like Mr. Wharton just said. But it's going to take a whole community involvement, and Mayor Couchman recommending that Chief have another business meeting with business owners and managers. That needs to be put on the forefront. You know, we've got to get that done sooner rather than later, because all of us, we're all involved. It impacts us all. Last city council meeting, I believe we had a couple teachers up here, and Mr. Castro talked about our youth and how we're having a hard time with our youth. And I've been president for Brawley Youth Football for the past 4 or 5 years, not this year, but we're still heavily involved in all youth sports. I believe I sent an invitation to all 6 of you gentlemen regarding our youth football camp that we had May 20th, when we had about 270 kids participate at Ed Soto Field. It was probably one of the largest youth camps that the Imperial Valley has ever seen. And there's a need for kids, not only in football, but in all sports, to come out. And it's not so much a cost factor anymore with these kids, because Brawley Youth Football has never turned away a kid to play football. You know, we've got programs there where if little Johnny wants to play football, if I can't get money out of George Nava or Sam Couchman, I'm going to go to somebody and find money for that kid to play. Not one kid has not been afforded the opportunity to play football, baseball, basketball, or any sport that this city offers, and the Imperial Valley. We deal with presidents in all sports of all aspects, and we've never turned away a kid. We've purchased shoes for kids. We have a donation. We have collections of cleats coming in for kids who are first-year players who we know can't afford to spend $35, $40 on cleats, because long gone are the $28 pairs of cleats. They're done. They're not there anymore. And if your son goes into an adult size, well, double your price now, ladies and gentlemen, because it is expensive. But what I'm here to say, city council members, is go out to your community. Come get me. You guys know how to get a hold of me. If there's any youth involvement that we can get going here in the city of Brawley, call me up. I'll be the first one to tell you guys, I'll do whatever it takes for these kids to get them out of their house for 2 hours a day, to get them on a field of some sort and keep them active. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ryan, no, we appreciate all the hard work that you do, and that's kind of what we're trying to get to with that committee we're trying to put together, trying to bring all aspects, for everyone from the community, including yourself, nonprofits, church, whoever we need to. I firmly believe that early intervention is the best way to prevent crime, and that's through sports. That provides a great opportunity for that. So, yeah, we're certainly going to be calling you.
Start calling this. Another thing that Mr. Gonzalez could probably touch on is that Brawley Union High School is back in with FCA. FCA stands for Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It's an awesome program that gets coaches involved in preaching Christ to not only their kids, but to their athletes. And it's not a hard, aggressive, come to church every single day. It's subtle. My son and I were able to attend the Fiesta Bowl breakfast between Notre Dame and Oklahoma State this past year through FCA. And it was just powerful and touching. That's what a lot of our kids need. And that comes from the home front, guys. That coaches can do so much. Just like when we came out here to push, let them play back in 2020, let our kids go out there and play football. A lot of it was to get the kids active. A lot of it was because we are that father figure that some of those kids have. We are that structure that they have. Because out of those 2 hours a day, for those other 22 hours, they don't have that in their lives, gentlemen. Mm-hmm. So it begins with the coaching staff, it begins with us community members, and it funnels down to the home front. So whatever we need to do on our end, you guys have a committee going? Call me up. My phone should have rang 2 weeks ago when it first came up. Just shoot me a text. Hey, we're looking at doing this. I'm game.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Let them play there. Let them play.
Yeah.
We should do one for let them stay. Let them stay in jail.
Yeah.
Like all the bums that need to be there. Seriously. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I've said it before. I'd donate money just to get them out of town. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're certainly going to be calling you, right? We've been having scheduling issues, and Donnie and I are going to sit with our city manager and then kind of put all the layers together. And certainly we're going to, you're on top of our list, by the way, just so you know, once we get it all together.
Absolutely. Okay. Anybody else from the public wanting to address the council on anything not on the agenda? Okay. If not, then we will go to the next item, which will be 2D, which is presentation of a proclamation in honor of Shirley Benias, presented by Tyler Salcido, city manager. And I will read the proclamation. So, proclamation in honor of Shirley Benias. Whereas after dedicating 13 years to a career in government, Shirley Benias is departing to partake in a well-deserved retirement. And whereas Shirley Benias began her career with the city of Brawley in November of 2008 and now retires from serving the city of Brawley as the Personnel and Risk Management Administrator. And whereas Shirley has mastered each and every new responsibility she has been given with determination. And whereas Shirley has used her expertise, skills, and professionalism to onboard and assist Brawley staff in navigating countless personnel matters, including the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas Shirley undertook updating and modernizing the personnel management system with the implementation of new financial software, and whereas her time in service was marked by exemplary dedication to our community and the betterment of Brawley, and whereas Shirley Benias served Brawley and led with honor and distinction. Now, therefore, I, Sam Couchman, Mayor of the City of Brawley, by the power vested in me and on behalf of the Brawley City Council, do hereby honor and congratulate Shirley Benias. You want to go ahead?
Thank you, Mayor, for that proclamation. It is my honor, with a whole lot of sadness and a tinge of excitement for Shirley, that she gets to go on and enjoy the next phase of her life, to introduce her and have her say a few words. Shirley's been here, over 13 years, almost 14 years, as an example of what she's been doing within the department. One of our team exercises in our exec team meetings, we have those once a week. We get the whole team together and meet. But months and months ago, we had a little exercise where we were all going to come up with call signs for all of our executive team. those in the military know what a call sign is, those that have seen Top Gun, So it was a little exercise that we all did to do a little team building, and Shirley's call sign is hands solo.
There you go.
A one-person
That's right,
department
one-person department.
for 13-plus years, so.
That's a good one.
A lot of work there that's been done behind the scenes, lots of hours that she's put in. It's rare that somebody beats me to work, but Shirley's done it multiple times, especially of late. So with that, a little background. She came to the city in 2008 as a temporary employee to help us with personnel matters. She was the successful candidate for the administration position and has been with the city ever since. She has a bachelor's degree from San Diego State and graduated summa cum laude. I didn't quite make that, but we won't go there. In 2012, she's been married 29 years, and her husband, Jesse Bonillas, is here with us, and she has 2 adult children and 3 grandchildren, and I can't express, since I've been city manager here, she's been just one of my right-hand people in making sure that I'm staying on the straight and narrow with all personnel and risk management issues. So with that, Shirley, thank you very much.
Why don't we say something?
Honorable Mayor, council members, my fellow coworkers, it has been an honor to serve you. It's been an honor to serve the citizens of Brawley. I fell in love with this place many years ago when I started working with Clínicas de Salud. They employed me as a personnel manager. And when Gary Burrows hired me with Fred Sulk back in 2008, it was my honor to help clean up and to recruit people like Tyler Saucedo and Rachel Fonseca, Oscar Escalante. Pretty much everybody in this room I hired, brought them in. I'm also the implementer, so that's all I do. This is our appointing authority, and you are our body. I thank you for this time. It's been most rewarding. I bow out only because age dictates that it's time for a new person to come on board, which you will be introduced to very shortly. She reminds me a lot of myself back when I started in 2008. The bonus is she's bilingual, fully bilingual, so that will be an extra added for the staff. Again, thank you for supplying income to my family, for supplying me a place to go to, and for the rewarding work I have done. It's been a pleasure.
I think what I'll do, thank you very much. I think what we'll do is have the council members give any comments they may want, and then I will give you the proclamation. So if we want to start.
Shirley, it has been such an honor to have you here in the city of Brawley. We've been so lucky, so blessed to have you. And as with many people of your caliber, when you leave, it leaves such a hole that it's hard to fill. And a lot of times it takes more than one person to fill that hole. And that's why that handle was perfect for you, Han Solo, because you've done so much by yourself. And, every time I walk in through the front door, you've always got a smile on your face no matter what the situation is, and I know that more days than not are difficult, and you're smiling through the pain and the difficulty. But you have been such a blessing to the city, and we will miss you greatly.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Wow. Shirley, it really is almost, where to begin, and very surreal moment, especially when you're the person that, as you mentioned, had some direct responsibility for a lot of the folks and leaders in this room. And I think on the twilight side of that, you've had a lot to do with, you've seen a lot retire, over those years. And it's got to be kind of wild as it is for me to, now you're standing here, I was going to ask you, what day is it today? How many days? And is kind of being facetious.
It's actually 4 more days.
Yeah.
4 more days.
Okay, there we go. But just my experience is just, I've truly have learned a lot about your conduct and professionalism in the public environment here. all of us as new council members, when we come on board, there's a little bit of deer in headlights, right? And you really help to orient us as well. When we come on board, I haven't forgotten that, will not forget that, and really take care of us all along. I mean, no different than you do really every member, every team member within the city. So sure, it's going to be, like I said, I agree with my fellow council member here. I have high hopes that will certainly be replaced, but you really executed as you would expect anyone with a Marine background as you have executed. Well done. Congratulations to you and your family. Enjoy every minute of what the next chapter holds.
Thank you, council member. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Shirley, you know, we didn't get to, it feels like it was just a month that we got to work together, but as Councilmember Warren was saying, you know, the deer in the headlights, right? That's what you've been dealing with when it comes to me for the last 18 months. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, I was so afraid of getting in trouble with you. I felt like, you know, it was my mom and I was going to get chewed out if I didn't submit my paperwork. And it was always like that. And I would say to my wife, I'm going to get in trouble with Shirley. So, but, you know, but truly, I appreciate your professionalism, the way you look out for us, especially the new ones, as Donnie said. And I want to thank you for your lifetime of public service, right, as a fellow devil dog. And, right? There's a few in the room,
Yes,
actually.
sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
And so I just want to thank you for all that hard work. We know it's not easy. We know you're underpaid for all that, you know, work you put in. And I wish you nothing but the best. And you know, always you got to retire while you're still young and healthy so you can enjoy what's next, right? So, you know, hopefully you let us in on some of that. I'm curious to see what you're going to do now. So anyways, congratulations, well deserved. I wish you the best.
Thank you, sir.
Shirley, congratulations on your retirement, to you and to your family. You've earned it. You know, I don't ever like to say the word deserve. I never use it, but you earned it, right? I always substitute that word. You've earned it. You've worked really hard the time you've been here. I remember 2007 before you got here. And I'll leave it at that, you know? And so big change when you arrived. And so you made life for us here in the city of Brawley as employees and staff and council members much, much easier. And you've always been professional. I've always appreciated that about you. You've always done a very good job and informed us and in closed session and let us know what we needed to decide on and gave us good information. And you always worked very hard. And so I've always appreciated that about you, and the fact that you're a one-person team there it says a lot about who you are and how hard you do work. So I hope you take that energy into your retirement and really enjoy it. You've earned it. I appreciate you very much. Congratulations to you and your family, and I truly appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. You've worked very hard for the citizens of Brawley, for the employees and staff of the city of Brawley, and for me. And for that, I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Shirley, I mean, I came on the council in 2009, so we've worked together all this time. I've always been able to come in and talk to Shirley about any kind of issue, anything going on within the city, and she's always been extremely helpful. And I know she's filled in many times to help with the city job and get the job done and do whatever's required. And I think that's very, very important in all employees, but certainly Shirley's been there for us on a personnel basis and on other things like employee appreciation luncheons and other things all through the course of the years that I've been here. So congratulations on your retirement. I think sometimes I don't have a filter and I say things that I shouldn't. Shirley's always been there to correct me, and I appreciate that, you know, or tell me, or caution me, don't do that, you know. And so, and I do appreciate that all the time. And Shirley and I have talked about a lot of things personnel-wise and a lot of things that go on around the city, and she's always been very helpful to me, and she's always here. And I enjoy knocking on the back door and having her try to run up there to open the door for me from all the way up in her front office. That's always encouraging, and sometimes it's rougher, I think, than other times, but we do a good job of getting it done, and I think that's great. I will miss you on both a professional and a personal level. I think that we've worked well together, and I think you've done a great job especially for the employees of this city. I don't think they realize how you've made their lives easier, and you've worked to help them in everything they've tried to do here and everything that involves them as it relates to their families and the job here and their job here with the city. So I think we appreciate that. I know I know we're all going to miss you here at the city. I know you're going to maybe help us out a little bit here, but, and we won't talk about that right now, but hopefully those things will all work out, and I wish you a very happy, long retirement and ability to be with your children, your grandchildren, all the individuals, your husband. I know he's been supportive, and we appreciate that from him, because I know you've been involved in things that happen at all different times here. So we do appreciate all of that. So thank you very much for your service, and thank you very much for being here for the city of Brawley all these years.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, you do have a filter, it's just really dirty.
Yeah, I know.
You haven't cleaned it up, you know what I mean? So-
My wife says I don't.
Right? Hasn't been replaced. Let them take a picture first, and then we'll surround them. Go ahead. Oh, there you go.
Where's it going?
Yeah.
Did he smile?
Go.
Because he doesn't smile even in the wedding pictures. He didn't smile in the wedding pictures. Come on, Mayor. It's okay, you can put it.
Coming from the personnel.
You're tickling me. You're not allowed to tickle.
There we go with that filter again.
He's sitting there tickling me. Oh, here we go.
Tickling Sam the whole time.
You're tickling me.
You're not ticklish.
No, I am more than you know. I just resist.
You're an absolute professional. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I can't help it. Get you George first. Toss me over there.
Okay, so now we'll go to item 2E, which is introduction of new employee by our new Human Resources Manager, presented by Tyler Salcido, City Manager.
Thank you. Sylvia, come on up, please. It's my pleasure to introduce our new HR Human Resources Manager, Sylvia Salazar. She has over 18 years of human resources experience in every aspect of human resources, such as recruitment, retention, staff development, conflict resolution, and benefits, et cetera, lots of experience there. She's a member of the Society of Human Resources Management. She is currently working on her Human Resources Management degree, and she, as Shirley mentioned, she is fully bilingual and will be a great addition to the management team. Please welcome Sylvia Salazar.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm very excited to be here to work for the City of Brawley, and I just can't wait to wrap my hands around HR and everything that's going on around it. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I look forward to working with everyone.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Certainly, we wish you all success here, joining the Brawley family. And certainly, you've got big shoes to fill, as you just heard. And so, but I'm sure you will be very successful at doing that. So, and we appreciate you coming on board, and we're looking forward to having a lot of things happen. And there's a lot of change at the city right now, and I think it's important that we all embrace that and that we move forward, and I think you're going to be a vital part of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Shirley wasn't kidding, huh? She got her stuff. She
got boom.
Hey, that's
Out the
it.
door.
Get cool.
Okay.
The rest of the week.
She had a prior engagement that she had to get to.
I'm teasing.
We got that.
They had the travel trailer ready to
I
go.
know.
They were revving the engine.
Next stop, Colorado.
Next stop. Okay, next item on the agenda is item number 3, the consent agenda. Items are approved in one motion, and council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
Oh,
You
sorry.
made the motion. Do you want a
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Okay, anybody have any comment? Okay, any comment from the public or online? No? Okay, then, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Moving right along. Okay. To item,
4.
oh, shoot, I messed up. Oh, item 4, city manager report. Tyler. I get messed up because it's on 2 pages.
That's fine, whichever one, mine, it doesn't matter. Okay, we're doing that first. Okay. Last Thursday, I attended the IVEDC Economic and Energy Summit out at IVC. There was about 200 people attended. Some people in the audience were there as well. We heard from local leaders and industry experts in renewable energy, mineral extraction, manufacturing, clean transportation, and housing and more. But the one thing I was kind of proud of there is that the city of Brawley got called out 2 different times for positive news, and this is one of their slides. If you can see there in the blue, towns like Brawley that are business friendly and well located to support new industrial activity. So I just wanted to stress that, we've been trying to be more business friendly, and the results are showing. I've had a lot of comments one-on-one, and even at this symposium in front of everybody, they mentioned this 2 different times about that. So next, please. So next we have, it's my pleasure to announce for Rachel Fonseca and her team there in Parks and Rec, a wonderful dive-in movie night that is Saturday, July 2nd at the Lion Center Pool. The movie is Luca. I haven't seen it, but I hear it's good. It's a free event for the entire family. All children must be accompanied, how do you say that word? There you go, by adults, 18 years or older. We've had some sponsors there you can see that are helping out. They're on the bottom. We will be posting on social media if we haven't already. We have? Okay, we have. That's great. So I just wanted the opportunity to let everybody know that we have this wonderful event coming up July 2nd on Saturday. So thank you to Rachel and her team for running that and putting it together.
It's a movie about little bugs, and one of the sponsors has got bugs, you know what I mean?
Is that what it's about?
Pest control. That's all good.
Yeah. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, number 5, public hearings. We need to hold a public hearing to approve the fiscal year 2022-23 through 2026-27 capital improvement program and use of development impact fee funds presented by Carla Romero, Finance Director, City Treasurer.
Hello, good evening. So this particular, thank you, Armando. The public hearing is a requirement of Government Code Section 66002 in order for the city to adopt its capital improvement program and the use of the development impact fees. The capital improvement program has been discussed several times already. We did a budget overview on April the 5th, May the 17th, June the 7th. There have been no significant changes overall since June 7th, with the exception of us adding some additional water capacity development impact fee funds of $200,000 as matching grant revenues for an EDA grant that we are currently seeking in the tune of $3 million, and the matching funding is 20%. Plus, we have some auxiliary engineering costs associated with that grant. So other than that, I will do a brief overview of what is included in the CIP and what is included in the DIF for the general public in case they missed one of the previous meetings. But overall, I know that you've heard this several times, so please bear with me. Overall, we are talking about a little over $11 million of new allocated funding for capital improvement programs and the use of development impact fee funds. On the left is our capital improvement program. That is a 5-year program, but only the first year is actually funded and included in the budget, which is also being presented tonight for adoption at a later item. So that particular amount is about $9.2 million. You can see there that we are certainly leveraging one-time funding and grant revenues. Nearly 50% or is coming from that source of revenue. The other one is coming from a multitude of street funds. That includes our highway relinquishment funds, Measure D funds, gas tax funds, road maintenance rehabilitation funds. That makes up those street funds there, which is about $3.5 million. And then you see that kind of trickling down there from there. And then on the development impact fee funds, this year we have almost 8 million proposed to be used for various projects. Again, these are tied, a lot of this funding has a lot of restrictions. So the development impact fee funds are restricted to the study that was last performed and used to increase the capacity and use of city facilities. We can't use it for maintenance. We cannot use it for ongoing repairs. We can't use it for programs and services. And so we really have to think about how we're expanding the facilities. So we have police, we have the evidence room that we are refurbishing and updating and making more useful. We are putting some funding into Fire Station 1 to rehabilitate that station, make it ADA compliant, and again, also continue to be used as a facility for Fire Station. The water capacity fee, which is the other big one there, is tied into that grant that I mentioned a little while ago in order to expand the water infrastructure on the northeast side of Brawley and take advantage of all of that potential development that should be happening on that north end of town, or in town at all. Parks and Rec, we do have some funding allocated for parks, for improvements, for additional park equipment, and I know Rachel will make great use of that. She's already collecting resident input in order to know where exactly to put the park equipment that is much needed throughout the city. Any questions on any of that? Here's just a brief summary. I know I presented this, I believe, at the first meeting on April the 5th. So just an overview again for the public. There's additional funding being allocated to those 2 squares on the top left as projects. Those are road improvement projects. The ones in blue are all new capital improvement projects, and the ones at the bottom are related to vehicle acquisitions for the city that are funded through the capital improvement program. A lot of street improvements for sure. So we also recognize within our discussions in capital improvements that we are not fully funded, that we have unfunded expenses that we anticipate to have in future years. However, you always have more need than money, and so we're trying to go after grants in order to fulfill those future obligations and needs that we do have. The focus this fiscal year for 22-23 remains on improving the mobility, road improvements, water infrastructure. Main Street improvements is certainly a big component of getting that project started. That will be coming in the next 2 years. There'll be additional funding next year that is proposed for that project. The general plan amendment, we know we have to do that probably in the year 25-26. That particular amendment could cost upwards of $1.5 million, and it's usually funded with the general fund. And so we are going to try seeking grant funding, but again, have to plan for that in the future. And we'll be talking about reserves later when we talk about the budget and potentially having to use some of that in order to update the general plan amendment. And then other identified projects are also included within this document and also within the budget document. Either one is a great reference, same material. But it talks about just additional needs like fire trucks and park improvements and additional road repairs, things that we recognize the city needs to put funding towards, but we just don't have enough resources at this time. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to go back, answer any questions that you may have.
Any comments from the public?
We'll have to open a public hearing.
We need to open the public hearing. So
If after any comments from you or.
If you guys have any, does the council have any comments?
No, I do have some questions about our infrastructure and some of the expansion, some of the areas or the services that we want to provide, like areas to the north end of Brawley, specifically the Indy Dwell area, and how much money is being set aside for that or what it looks like going forward. But you can answer that the next meeting, if you could bring that up.
Just an overall economic development update?
Kind of where we're at with our infrastructure and what, how much we're setting aside for that. So, Tyler, we've discussed that in private, but I just want to see it in the numbers.
We just got some updated figures today, and they're in the millions of dollars just for that particular water infrastructure. We're talking upwards of 12 to 15 million. That is not even included in the CIP plan right now. So it's multi-millions of dollars in order to, and that's just water infrastructure.
Yeah.
Then you have roads that need to be repaired that we recognize are crumbling or not of great use, or, could be better in order to facilitate additional road mobility in that area.
Right.
I think that's a great project for Public Works, Finance, our Economic Development team, City Manager to all work together on. The budget is presented by the Finance Department, but it really involves everyone. It's an entire team. And just earlier, we were on a call, and it did include Tyler, myself, and Public Works. And if we don't do it together, we're never going to be able to move forward because we all bring different expertise. And I look at the money and they look at the infrastructure. I mean, it's a team effort. I don't know if we can pull it off in 2 weeks.
No. Just a brief overview. If we're just curious to see where we're at, and I know that Tyler's been looking into that, but just so that we're kind of have an idea what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to this specific situation, the development at that north end.
Just on a higher level, Cliff Note version, long story short, we're talking multiple avenues of trying to finance the thing, which this staff here has done an excellent job, as you can see in the presentation here, and moving forward on the budget. Very creative staff on how we're going to fund all these things. And that's why you see so many projects now, is because we're looking at every type of opportunity to fund something, not just the fly-by-night standard stuff. But but as Carla said, with this one project, it's upward of $15 million, so it's going to require us to get creative, but we're not quitting. So it's important, and we'll get there.
Thank you.
And we definitely can provide an update for you guys. So
thank you, sir.
Any other questions or comments from the council? If not, then I'm going to open the public hearing on this issue. Any comments from the public or from the audience here or from the public online? Questions? Okay. Come to the microphone.
Hello, John Grass, Calle Luna, 1087. Just wanted to ask about whether some of the funds that are being considered come from the federal infrastructure grant, because I haven't heard whether or not that's been accessed, or whether we have access to it, or how to access to it. The other question that I wanted to ask is whether there's been any consideration about acquiring the court facilities for city use. I know that that's coming up in the future as a potential situation where that might be made available to the city. I'm not sure, but I just wonder if the city's been in any dialogue with the county over the use of those facilities.
I can answer definitely the first question. I believe you're talking about a specific from Biden's administration on when you talk about a federal infrastructure grant. We, as I mentioned before and at other occasions, we do have a grant writing consultant that we are engaging to help work on that. Immediately, we don't have any specific projects to chase that money, but we are looking into that in general. This is potentially funded, we were talking about with a different EDA grant, a portion of that we need to apply for, that we're going through the process and dealing with the EDA administration directly. But on that question, the second one, I will defer to the mayor on the courthouse, because I know he's had some questions about that. And
At the present time, we have not heard from the county whether they would be giving up that building. They do have some other, there's a sheriff's department, I think, locates a portion of that building, and they may still consider that to be a county building, and they may utilize it for some other purpose. Right now, I'm trying to have some discussions with some of the state people as to what they might do for us to enhance because they're taking and it's really a state decision to move the courts to El Centro. I think it impacts the North End in a very great way, and probably not in a positive way necessarily. Correct. And so I know it helps their court efficiency. I know it costs them less money. I know they're able to have one facility, and that works very well for them. But for people from Nyland, from people from Calipatria, from people from Brawley, from Westmoreland, it does have a major impact on them, and with gas prices the way they are and all that stuff. So my discussion with the state would be, are they going to give us some type of enhancement or some other grants or something that might help us through this transitional process? They don't seem to be coming up with anything at the present time, but I'm still kind of pushing that that level and trying to get some information from them regarding that. I think if the county was giving up that building, the city would certainly look at it as a potential for some type of city use, but I don't think we have any plans for that right at the present time, at least not on the drawing board, at least not at the present time. And I don't know if anybody else here has heard anything on that. Donnie's kind of closely associated with some of this county sheriff and other things. I don't know if he's heard anything about that or not. I don't want to put
Yeah, I think
anybody
you're
on the
right in
spot.
line, Mr. Mayor, about what I knew as
I-
well, and the challenge
From
there.
what we
Yeah.
know, it doesn't appear they're going to give up that building right away anyway. But I'm looking at what's the county going to do? What's the state going to do? You know, what could we get into that building that would enhance that area and also provide for some economics for the city due to that, the leaving from the courts? So.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the city might be in a position to at least put ourselves on the table as an option for them to consider.
We're always on the table as an option to consider. This facility that we operate here was a county facility, and the city was able to obtain that. And we've gotten other county facilities in the past, I believe, in our area. So certainly we're open to that, and I think there needs to be additional discussion, though, and I really don't have any of the specifics at this point in time.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other comments online? No? Nope. Okay. Then what do I close the public hearing? I'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask to adopt resolution 2022 approving the fiscal year 2022-23 through fiscal year 2026-27 CIP program and use of development impact fee funds. And
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution as you've stated.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a second. Okay. Any further discussion? Any questions? Anything from the audience? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, now then, item 5B. We're tasked with holding another public hearing to solicit comments on the city's CDBG program income only 2021 applications to the State Community Development Block Grant Program and adopt the resolution approving the applications for funding and the execution of a grant agreement and any amendments thereto from the Community Development Block Grant Program by the city manager, presented by Rachel Fonseca, Parks and Recreation Manager.
Good evening, members of the council. Rachel Fonseca, Parks and Recreation Manager. I actually brought this CDBG item before you back in December 2021 for your approval for the roof and the pool project. At that time, I only wanted to use $540,000 of the $547,000 of program income that the city has on hand for the pool and the roof project. And the difference of $7,000 was going to be used for another small community improvement project, but the timing of the match for that small project was delayed, and that put that project on a temporary hold. This was for the little project. So in order to avoid losing the $7,000, at the end of the month, I asked the state if I could roll it into the allocation for the pool project, and the state said that that was fine. And they also suggested that I go through the CDBG public hearing again and solicit the public's comment on using the funds again and adopt a new resolution updating the allocating amounts, and then resubmit the application. So as far as the pool plastering project, I'm keeping with the October 2022 timeline, and the state is aware of this date. And if council has any questions, I'm here to answer them. And if there are no questions, I will request to open the hearing for public comment.
Any questions or comments from the council? If not, I will open the hearing regarding this issue. And are there any comments from the audience or from the internet? No. Okay. Then I would close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve and adopt Resolution 2022, approving application for funding from the 2020-21 CDBG program.
I make a motion exactly as you stated, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any comments? No questions? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Move.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
$7,000.
Now, yeah.
Penny counts.
Now we'll go, hope it speeds up the process, according to the swimmers. Okay, item number 6, regular business. 6A, discussion and potential action to receive and file the fiscal year 2021-22 fourth quarter budget report and approve the recommended budget adjustments presented by Carla Romero, Finance Director, City Treasurer. Carla, you're up again.
Thank you again. Because I didn't have enough items for you tonight, I thought I'd squeeze one more in. Normally, we would not do a fourth quarter budget report, but we recognize that we have some needs that we need to take care of before it gets hotter, and we don't have air conditioning in this particular building, and we're not having such a great time tonight or in future nights. There is 2 air conditioner units that are about to fail in this particular building that need to be replaced immediately. We have received quotes. It's about $15,000, and we're requesting that funding be included in the general fund this fiscal year so that we can get those repaired immediately. And then we brought to you an emergency resolution for a fire engine repair during the last council meeting, but we did not appropriate funding. So we need to go ahead and appropriate that funding so we don't have a major budget variance. What happens is if we have a major budget variance, the auditors come and tell me, why didn't you tell your council that you had this major variance? And you had time to do that, whether it's a revenue or an expenditure. And they really take a look at that because they're wanting to know how transparent we are, how much we communicate with you and the public about what is happening, how the budget is changing on an ongoing basis. And that's really why we provide these budget updates every quarter. So on the right there, what you're seeing as a bottom line on the yellow is that if we add the $32,000 to expenditures, we are anticipating a budget surplus for this year of about $213,572. And that's for the general fund. And then just to note, there is an exhibit within the staff report. It's Exhibit C. It includes every single item that has been approved through the last council meeting in regards to any adjustments that have been done for the general fund. And it ties back to that budget surplus and deficit, the summary that you're seeing on the screen here tonight. We do have some adjustments in other funds. And again, this has to do mostly with our audit items and making sure that we don't have major variances. There is an audit requirement to separate out SB1, which is a road maintenance portion of the gas tax fund, into a new fund. So we did that, and we did that into next year's budget. But with that, we had to move over all of the revenues that were received so far year to date, which was $525,380, the items in green to the right. We moved them from gas tax, put them in the road maintenance fund. And then the other portion that you see in red there is the balance, the fund balance or the savings from prior years that belong to the road maintenance fund. And we moved those from gas tax down to from an expense in the gas tax as a transfer out and a transfer in or additional revenue into the new fund that we created. The other thing that we have here for revenues, you see this negative in SB1 because in the gas tax that's green because we moved it to the new fund. But we also, during the audit process, found that Republic Services had given us funding from 2013 through 2021, and we had been recognizing that as a liability, which is a payment due to an external agency, and that is not accurate. That is actually revenue that should be utilized for ongoing road maintenance. And so we made that correction, but again, that's a major variance that the auditors would definitely pinpoint and say, hey, why, did you disclose that, right? And so we're recognizing that tonight with this document and making that correction in the accounting for the city. The other item is the law enforcement grant. That was brought to you in April, I believe. Chief Duran received an additional law enforcement grant. We were expecting that in next fiscal year, but he pulled some strings and winked his eye and got the money early, and so we need to recognize that as well, both revenues and expenses. It's not in next year's budget. It would be in this year's. We, on a good note, I know we're always talking about waste recycling in a bad tone, I guess, but we did receive some additional revenues for that grant. It was only $2,678, but we will take it, and every bit helps. And the last item there is for the La Paloma Community Facility District. The developer owner requested that we release the lien permanently on one of the two CFD parcel taxes. The city did that, but the funding used for that was the funding that was originally collected in that CFD. So we had the additional expenditure that we were not expecting for some specialized legal services to get that done as requested. So that, those are all the adjustments that are included in the report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the council? Okay. I think we'll.
Good summary.
Okay. Okay, then, I think we need a motion to receive and file the fourth quarter budget report and approve the recommended budget adjustments. So I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to approve the item.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second. Any comments? Any additional, anything from the audience? No? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, 6B, discussion and potential action to adopt Resolution 2022 to establish the city's appropriations limit for fiscal year 2022-23 and approve the fiscal year 2022-23 overall budget, presented by Carla Romero, Finance Director, City Treasurer. You're up again.
Thank you. So tonight, we're going to do a very high-level overview of the budget. Again, it's been discussed several times, April 5th, May 3rd, May 17th, June 7th. Yes. If you're like me, I just want to get the budget adopted and done. We do have a dedicated budget website. We will leave that up for a few months in order for people want to follow the progress and how all of this was developed. Overall, the budget, the revenues, the expenditures, we continue to see a strong post-pandemic economic recovery within the budget document. We have incorporated all known updates from the state, the county, or other local agencies that we partner with in order to provide services. We have provided support for all major services and functions of the city without using reserves, without using like American Rescue Plan Act money, which is one-time funding. We are using ongoing revenues for ongoing expenditures throughout this budget document, especially for the general fund. We recognize, as I stated earlier, that we do have deferred capital projects, heavy equipment needs, and additional personnel needs that do exist throughout the city, and we are actively working on trying to fund those for the future. We do not have any significant changes since the June 7th update that I provided. So tonight we are requesting that you please adopt the budget. It does need to be adopted by June 30th before the appropriations lapse for the fiscal year. Again, we will continuously monitor the budget document and provide you quarterly updates or even updates with different staff reports throughout the year. We have added $5,000 for lot abatement cleanups since the last update and some minor salary and benefit adjustments. So I think before the surplus was about $15,000 and now it's 6,000 and change. So 6,310 for the general fund. On the screen here, what you see is just a summary overall of all of the appropriations included in the budget document. A great reference page for our audience would be page 296. It provides a summary of all of these, but in detail format. As you can see here, we have a lot of different funds. We have one general fund, 33 special funds, 4 enterprise funds, which are business operations, a capital improvement fund, two internal service funds, and a fiduciary fund tied to the redevelopment agency. Overall, in the general fund, as discussed earlier, 53% of the budget is for public safety. That includes police and fire, with 34% going to police, which is $6.5 million, 19% going to fire, which is $3.6 million of that $19 million there at the top. The general fund details can start on page 297. The special funds, these are all of our community facility districts, all of the road improvement funds. These are really restricted for special purposes that cannot be used for general fund purposes. The total revenues is a little less than the expenditures because here is where we're seeing a lot of the multi-year capital improvement program funding where we've saved up money over the years in order to do a major project. And so we are now utilizing some of that surplus in this coming year to fund those capital improvement programs. The enterprise funds, we have 4. That is water, wastewater, solid waste, and the airport. You see there, we have a surplus with those combined. Capital Improvement Fund, we talked about that during the public hearing, so we won't go into that, but that is tied to that particular document. Internal Service Funds, we have 2, one for risk management and one for fleet maintenance. Minor deficit there because we're using the fund balance within the maintenance fund that is available from prior years with no additional income coming in or charged to the general fund or other funds. And then the fiduciary fund, that is a fund tied to the former redevelopment agency, as mentioned earlier. That particular fund has oversight from you as a former redevelopment agency, also from the county, and also from the state. So those revenues and expenditures have been approved by all 3 governing bodies already and are now just being incorporated into this formal document and into our budget system. Any questions on these before we talk about reserves in the general fund? The next slide is our general fund reserves. This is on page 295 of the agenda. Here, what we're seeing is that we are carrying over appropriations in the general fund of a tune of about almost 1.7 million, and it's in red because I made a mistake and I left the appropriations from last year on this document. So I am disclosing. I am disclosing that for the public, and it will be corrected. It's Exhibit C of the resolution. It doesn't change the unassigned fund balance or our general fund target for reserves, but just wanted to disclose that it is a larger amount than last year. Last year was, I believe, 558,000 and around there. But what's really making the difference is the pool improvements and the line center improvements that we talked about tonight. They are major expenditures, and so that's really upticking that particular carryover there to make sure that we have the multi-year funding in the general fund for that. Our unassigned reserves will end this year at about $2.7 million. Again, we do have that committed to capital replacement reserves of $500,000 that will carry forward as well. And then at the bottom there, you're seeing the proposed budget to be adopted on the left bottom, the 19 million. We have a 15% target for our reserves, which is, when you calculate that on the new amount of the budget, is almost 9 million. And so the estimate that we're supposed to end with, that 2.7, ties to the top number on the right up there. And so we have a potential budget shortfall, or reserve shortfall of $154,099. Again, we'll revisit this after we finish this year's audit, which would be in October. We'll bring to you a year-end budget report. We'll revisit where the reserves landed. And then once the audit is completed and finalized and provided to you with our mid-year budget report, in 22-23, which is like in February of 23, we will let you know where the actual estimate ended up being. So it could be it's at 2.9, it could be 2.6, but it should be around 2.7 million for the unassigned reserves. And at that time, we may ask you to appropriate additional funding to the capital replacement reserve to put away money for a lot of the capital improvements that we don't have currently funded. But again, that's in February of 23, just giving you a heads up. And in the budget document itself, it's very long. It has several pages, but it does tell a story. So it does have the proposed budget 1, proposed budget 2, and also the adopted budget to the right, so you can see the progress and how the budget has changed. It has a lot of notes, and so the staff report was brief because every single page almost has notes as to what the numbers mean, what they represent, how they've changed over the year over year. And we do have a city council and staff page that recognizes those that were involved in the budget process this year, and we thank you all for your time, your attention, your commitment, your review of all of these items. I know it's a big document. Our city manager has a nice letter also in the beginning of the document. We have summaries of all revenues and expenses for every single one of these funds, details on every single one as well. general fund reserves, the general fund summary of revenues and expenditures, and a personnel summary. And this year I also included acronyms and glossary, recognizing that sometimes we use acronyms and glossaries and we don't know what they mean. But I thought that was important so that when I say, RDA or ROPS or, all those things that we at least have a document we can look at.
Just today, I was struggling with so much I was reading.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. So tonight, the budget resolution acknowledges all of the public workshops that were held during the budget process. There is an appropriations limit calculation that is also required by the state. It is Exhibit A to the resolution. Our appropriations limit is $22.7 million. Basically, what this does is we calculate on an annual basis based on population and the year-over-year change and the inflation factor that the state provides up to how much revenue the general fund can collect. So right now, as mentioned before, we have about a $19 million budget. So we have a capacity of increasing our general fund revenues of about $10.7 million. That's basically what that calculation says. And it's a 3-page calculation. It's pretty detailed. And then we have Exhibit B, which is the continuing appropriations or the carryover funding that was mentioned earlier. The bulk of that, again, is tied to capital improvements and other funds, $15.2 million of that total, and that's for ongoing capital improvements. What will happen with this is that the document says it's estimated. If you remember, the finance department will continue to pay invoices for this fiscal year, 21-22, through August, because we recognize that not everybody bills us on June 30th, and we can't cut a check on June 30th and close out the year on June 30th. And so we have what's called a 60-day accrual period. After that point, we have the audit, and once the books are closed, we come back to you with that year-end budget report for this fiscal year that's ending, and we let you know where these numbers actually landed with actual numbers based on how all the expenditures closed out. So that right now they're estimates, my best estimate as far as where they're going to be, but I will bring you back a document in October, November at the latest, telling you the final numbers that would be included in our financial statements. And then Exhibit C, which I forgot on here, was the general fund reserves exhibit. And that concludes my presentation for the budget. Just want to tell everyone thank you again. I know it's a lengthy process, and we try to make it seem easy, but it is a bear every day, every year, every day during budget season.
Every day and every year. And
yes. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
any questions from the council?
Mayor, may I comment just
Yes.
high level on a couple items?
Yes.
I think this budget, especially the general fund, as you can see up there, our surplus is very minor, $6,300. That was staff and I listening to council and the citizens, and we are reinvesting every penny we have this year back into public services without, as Carla mentioned, we didn't set aside any for any additional capital improvements. We heard you guys, and that's what is reflected in the budget. So I want to stress that we are putting it back into the community this year coming out of COVID. I agree. I just wanted to point that out for the public. And lastly, as Carla said, it's a heck of an undertaking, this budget stuff. It's a pain. And it involves everybody in this room that works for the city here. And it's a lot of work and headaches. And I, for one, am glad I'm not doing it anymore. So with that, thank you, Carla and staff.
Thank you. Okay, any questions from council? Any questions from the audience?
Just a comment. I would like to thank Carla and staff very much for the work that you did. And your presentations to council have made everything much easier to comprehend. They've been good presentations, and quite honestly, we've gone through budget cycles in the past, for those of us who've been here for a few years, that have been challenging. And, well beyond the time frame and everything else. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
I'd like to, if I could just add and echo very similar comments, Carla. The entire process, and I know this has been a culmination of a few years, a few cycles we've gone through with, really seemingly sometimes incremental improvements, but this is kind of a big leap. And so I found the materials, the overview material, tables, summaries, easy to understand and really summarize. And I think really for the public's benefit, for those that really dig in and take a look at what we've been able to accomplish. So again, just huge kudos to everybody on the team for helping to make that happen. I certainly feel much more empowered as a council member as far as what I'm talking about with the public, backed by this kind of information reporting and data. And I think that ongoing incremental touch like we've had mid-year, the budget process, all that, very helpful. So I just want to stay very encouraging and supportive of that. Very helpful, and I think we can play, even that much more of an effective role. So again, just thank you to the entire staff. Looking forward. I know it's going to be a challenge. This is not going to get any easier per se, but it's a lot easier to make decisions when the facts are in front of us. So again, thank you.
Just a comment. So, thank you, Carla. I appreciate it. I want to echo those comments that, being new to this whole process, it can be challenging, but it's been not very challenging, but we need to know what we're talking about, right? So I appreciate the hard work that you guys put in, how you break it down, so we're able to relay this to the public, because, these questions come up all the time. How much are you putting into this or into that, and you guys aren't doing enough? Well, the numbers are there, and they're very clear and easy for anyone to understand, so appreciate the hard work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I guess I should throw in my 2 cents.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 cents?
Yeah,
You
that's all I got.
have to adjust the budget.
Yeah, I'm on city council, that's all I got. No, Carla, as you know, our city manager is data-driven, and that's what the attitude that he's brought to council as well. It's the goal and the effort is to have the facts in front of us to be able to make decisions based on the facts rather than just guessing at what's going to be best, the best next step for the city. So we're very fortunate to have Tyler and to have you as our finance brain, center, because it affects every department and it affects what we do here. As Donnie said, we without the clear data, it's just difficult for us to make decisions that will help the other departments like PD and Fire and Parks and Rec and all of them. So we are so lucky to have the leadership that we have in place, because it's a different ballgame than it was, even 5 years ago when I got on city council. So it's just very encouraging, and I've said it many times over the last year or so that we are better off as a city financially and in many other ways and other metrics coming out of COVID than we were going into it, and that's excluding any ARPA funds or anything like that. So we're lucky. We're blessed to have you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, I can say for sure in my 13 years here, this has been a really great budget presentation. I think we've had other budget presentations that were good, but I think that this one has been probably one of the easiest for me to navigate, and I'm appreciative of the work that everyone at the city does for this budget process, because I know it takes everybody that's out there. But I know that you're instrumental in it. I know Tyler works hard at it, and I know you both work hard at it, and the department heads all work hard at it. And it's a document, and if you look at it, you can kind of see that it's not the easiest document to go over. It's not the, but it's a good document. I think we've come out of COVID. We're blessed, I think, to come out of COVID in many ways the way that we have financially. We still struggle with money, there's no doubt about that, and we still struggle with trying to get all the services out there that everybody desires. But I also think that we're looking pretty good coming into this new year, and I think it'll be a great year for the city. And I think we've got a lot of new things on the board, a lot of economic development, and a lot of other things going on. And so this budget process has been a great budget process, and I think all of us on council truly appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, 6B, we need to adopt the resolution to establish the city's appropriations limit for fiscal year 2022-23 and approve the fiscal year 2022-23 overall budget. So I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And there's a second. Okay. Any other questions, any other comments? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Yay.
Yay. Okay. Now we'll go to item 6C, discussion and potential action to approve the American Rescue Plan Act spending plan and budget as modified, and direct staff to continue providing progressive updates every 6 months until all funds are spent, and that's presented by Carla Romero, Finance Director, City Treasurer.
Thank you again. One more. So the American Rescue Plan budget or plan of action was originally adopted on December 21st, 2021. At that meeting, I asked you to hold us accountable and that we would go ahead and we wanted to bring updates every 6 months to let you know what has happened. Just today, I had another webinar that I attended for another hour. So the education is continuous regarding the use of this funding. The final ruling came out right after the budget plan was adopted, and so we do have some recommended changes based on that final ruling by the U.S. Treasury that was provided at the beginning of January 2022. Overall, the city is receiving almost $6.3 million in American Rescue Plan Act funding. It's important to note this is one-time funding. It's unprecedented funding, had never been given to agencies before. And of course, it is tied to the pandemic and the revenue losses that cities experienced. And so when we put together our plan, we wanted it to be for also one-time expenses. As mentioned before, we are not including any of this for our ongoing operational expenses for the city, but rather found items that fit within the regulations that are federal guidelines for the use of this American Rescue Plan Act money to propose the use of the funding. Most of the funds need to be spent by December 31st, 2024, with the exception of water and wastewater funds. Those have an additional 2 years to December 31st, 2026. But as you'll see in a little bit, we're making really great progress on a lot of the items that we have within our plan. These budget this kind of budget overviews or plan overviews, the American Rescue Plan also allows us to engage with the public, tell them what we're doing, how we're utilizing the funding, and gather any additional input from yourselves as council members and also the public as to how we could utilize this funding. So we will be reviewing. To date, we have committed, either engaged in contracts or already expended about $1.7 million of the American Rescue Plan Act funding. We have currently underway about 10 projects that should be done in the next 6 months. So when I provide the next update, you'll see an additional potentially 10 projects completed. And we do have some proposed changes to original plan, and those will be clearly outlined in the presentation. So how I formulated this was on the right, I put the requested expenditure based on the original plan on the left, the original request from December 21st, and then the updated request. Any changes are in red, so you could easily see those, and we'll be talking about each one. The status update, those in yellow will be done in the next 6 months. The ones in green are completed. And the ones that are left in blue still have some significant work before we can really say we're going to complete those in the next 6 months or that they are completed. Of course, the majority of the funding is for Main Street water line improvements. We have $3 million. Public Works is spearheading that project. It's currently beginning the design phase, and it does have additional funding. The total project is, I believe, almost $12 million for the road improvements, water line, signal updates. It's a vast undertaking, but $3 million of that is funded with American Rescue Plan Act money. The next one is the purchase of a fire apparatus. The original request was for $630,000. The new request updated is for $685,191. We have ordered the apparatus. We have done the site visit, completed the specifications, and we expect delivery in early 2023 for that particular fire engine. A lot of the increase is just due to, I know Chief York called me in a panic just last week and said, we found some additional things, and they were swapping out lights and really solidifying what it is and testing the engine that they were going to get. And he said, is there any way we can get some additional equipment that we really need that would be helpful? And so I think that was like $12,000. And then we forgot that we needed to also buy radios and decals and make sure that it matched the look and feel of the city of Brawley, and there was also some additional taxes that we did not account for. So there is a little bit of a cushion, and any savings would then go to other projects on the plan and when we bring another update. But that one does have a variance there. The next one there, the third item down, is a water meter and backflow installation for businesses. We want to continue to support our businesses. There is a state mandate requiring the installation of meter devices and backflows for businesses. And so the council has recognized that not all business owners can afford to put these in on their own, and so we've set aside $500,000 for this program. The program is being developed. It's myself, Public Works, Economic Development are all involved and have all had input on trying to put together this program. We want it to be easy. We want it to be streamlined. And we want it to be effective, and we want to try to reach as many business owners as possible. We do have a wait list of about almost 20 businesses that have expressed an interest in this, so we're hoping to roll out this program this summer. The next one is the purchase of public safety vehicles. We have purchased and received 3 units. We have an additional 3 units on order. The budget has remained the same with no changes. The premium pay for our staff was completed in March of 2018. The minor change there and adjustment is related to taxes associated with the payments of that premium pay.
March 2021, right?
No, 2022. Sorry,
2020.
that's wrong, yes. We just did that this year. And the radio encryption technology, that is a state mandate, is also being funded with the American Rescue Plan. The equipment has been ordered and it's being implemented to meet the deadline of December 2022. We have digital signs that are being evaluated and will be brought back to the City Council for approval. That is also being done by our police department. We thank them for picking up some slack or some additional workload to help us get all of these projects done. We have the citywide phone system that is being done by myself and Armando, our IT director. And we are writing an RFP. We have secured a consultant to help us solidify how we're going to implement that. I am not a telephone expert, and Armando says he isn't either. So we've gathered some assistance to get that up and done also, but we are expecting to have significant progress done in the next 6 months as well. The backflows for city facilities also need to be updated, same as the businesses, and so we've set aside funding for that. Our Public Works Department has done a complete evaluation of city backflows that need to be upgraded. They will be writing an RFP to secure a vendor to replace all of them at once. This next slide is still from the original American Rescue Plan Act plan updates. The first one there is firewall upgrades, $90,000, minor an increase there to $120,832. That project is nearly completed. I can't remember the date it was brought to council, but I think it was around February of this year. Fire Station 2 fiber optic connection, no increase in cost. The IVTA, help me Armando, was that Imperial Valley Technology Authority, thank you, has confirmed the quote and the amount needed to fund that project. Permits are pending for the city, even though it's our own project. We still have to pull permits and get approvals from Public Works to get that completed. We also have dispatch center, data center upgrades that are underway, $60,000, no update on the funding. We have power supply backups that Armando will also be working on, for $40,000 citywide, to ensure that if there is a power outage, that we don't lose data, and that if I'm working on the budget document, I don't scream and lose what I've been working on for hours, or anybody else has been working on. So we also have a digital sign at the plaza that we are looking to put up. The original cost estimate was about $30,000, and we started looking at it as the executive team and didn't really think the design was up to par. So we're almost ready to bring that to you also for evaluation and final approval and comments. But we are requesting that budget be increased to $60,000 so that we bring you an adequate product, not a subpar digital sign. The wireless bridge for Public Works building, no change there. Wireless bridge for the Lions Center building, also no change there, and both are pending. The water plant firewall is underway, nearly completed, no change in funding. And then the last item there, the firewall at Fire Station 1 is also pending. So you see we have road improvements, IT improvements, business support, really just trying to diversify the funding as much as possible, but still tackle some of the things that the city recognizes are really, really important and need to be funded. These here are new items. So I believe it was 3 council meetings ago now, we talked about the touchless doors and the funding for that, and that was approved. The original estimate was almost $300,000, but Chief Duran and his team were able to lower that quite significantly. So the new estimated cost is $125,000, and that project is currently underway, expected to be completed in the fall of 2022. And we would request, when we originally brought the proposal, we had medium priority and low priority items that were not funded. We went ahead and we asked everyone, give us all of your thoughts and let's put them on paper so that if we have additional funding, we can reallocate some monies to those medium or low priority items. So the touchless doors and the Lions Center facility upgrades were both medium priority items during the first update. And since we found some savings there, which I'll talk about next, and reallocated some funding, we are proposing to, or asking to fund some Lions Center facility upgrades. That is our second emergency operations center for the city. I know it was activated last summer when we had a power outage for many hours. And it's just a facility that truly is underutilized because it doesn't have the infrastructure that it needs in order to provide more services to the community. So the updated request, which was kind of the remainder of the balance of the appropriations, is $145,868,000. And then what happened with the last item there, the general fund reserves, originally the American Rescue Plan Act guidelines allowed us to, and it still does, allow us to do what's called a revenue replacement for part of our reserves, and we had said $500,000 to put back into the general fund. But what happened with the final ruling in January is that it really opened up the ability to utilize all of the funding for any general fund purpose. So now putting it into reserves doesn't make sense when we know we have the need, and we've recognized that a lot of these, like the Lions Center facility upgrades, would have been funded with general fund money. There is no other funding source other than general fund revenue for a lot of these items. So we're proposing to not have a general fund reserve replacement and instead allocate the funding as presented tonight. So that concludes my report and update on the American Rescue Plan. I will be back in December with another update, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from the council?
All of that, is it on a finance website or webpage or for the public to view the?
We do not have a dedicated page, but I can certainly create one and also provide the updates that we've been providing you. There's a very nice summary and attachment to the document that's really easy to read, so I'm happy to do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just for the public's
certainly
to consume.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, comments? No? If not, any questions from audience? No? Okay. Internet? No? All right. Okay, so we need to approve the American Rescue Plan Act spending plan and budget as modified, and direct the staff to continue providing progressive updates every 6 months until all funds are spent. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I also move.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Okay, any additional comment? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now we'll go to item 6D, and that's discussion and staff direction regarding our August 2022 city council meetings.
Mayor, I can tee it up for y'all. Normally, in the past, not every year, but for the most part, the council has gone dark as far as city council meetings go for August. After talking with staff, we have a recommendation for your consideration. Of course, it's all up to you guys, of course. What we're recommending is the go dark in the second meeting of August and the first one in September, which is September 5th, I believe, right after the holiday. That's also League of Cities starts that next day, where a lot of council members attend. So we're thinking of pushing it down. That would be staff's recommendation, to push it down the second meeting of August, if council so desires to go dark, and the first meeting in September. And that still allows us for some opportunity for July and August to any pending items that we need to really tackle, we can get out there. So that's all I have.
We can also call a special meeting if we need one for August. That means we would meet on August the 2nd, and we would then meet next on September the 13th. And we would be dark the other times. We have some holidays in there, I think, and some other things. I mean, what's the pleasure of the council on that?
I mean, we have that option to call special meetings.
Yes. At
Follow
any
our
time.
staff's
At any
recommendation.
time. We'd have to have a certain amount of notification, but we
What's the
can do
required
that.
amount of time to call a special?
24 hours.
24 hours?
No big deal.
Okay, so, yeah,
So
we'll
we're
go with
good
staff's
there.
recommendation. I don't
And that
have a
gives
problem.
everybody an opportunity to go on vacation in August if they have vacation planned for that time frame. And so, I mean, and that would be good.
I think that would be fine. I mean, that would only be the second day of August, so it leaves almost
Yeah.
the entirety of the month. And so,
And the next meeting wouldn't
yeah,
be
the
until
next
the
meeting would be-
20th of
right.
September.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, the 20th. That's
Unless
right.
we had an
I messed it
earlier,
up.
unless we had an earlier.
Unless we needed to call it.
Right. It would,
20th.
correct. And so it would leave sufficient time. I would go along with staff's recommendation as well. And then I will be at the league. I'm not sure if other council members will be as well
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, there's
But
at least
I will
two of
be.
you, I believe, yes.
So
These two are going.
I will be attending.
Okay.
And that actually will
Works out
align
well.
well,
Yeah.
so.
So staff direction, staff has their direction?
Yep.
I think, and I don't think we need to vote on
We'll
that. I
take the
think we just
staff
tell you
recommendation,
that's what
yeah.
we're going to do. Okay.
Thank you.
And the public is aware, so that if there's things that do come up in emergency, we will meet in some fashion, online or whatever. I think we've all learned how to meet through Zoom, certainly, or at least if nothing else.
You can zoom in.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be in Cancun on August 2nd, or
Are
flying
you?
back.
Are you? Well, you'll have to leave early and come back earlier.
I'm coming back.
That's all.
I'm supposed to fly in like.
Mayor's direction. Okay, number 7, informational reports. 7A, June 4th, 2022, Community Workshop Summary. B was the May 2022 Record of Building Permits. And C is the update on City of Brawley Declaration of Local Emergency as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. If anybody has any questions or would like information, I think we'll provide that. Otherwise, we'll move through that unless it's all attached with your stuff, certain pages. If anybody has any questions, certainly we'll entertain those. If not, we'll just move through. Okay? All right. And now, number 8 is city council member reports, and we'll start with Councilmember Hamby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just briefly attended a few different committee and board meetings. The library board meeting, in which we received the resignation of our current library manager, Desi Rodriguez, but some good recommendations for next steps. Attended a Parks and Recreation meeting today. It was a fruitful discussion. We had a guest, John Grass, there, explaining that he's considering running for city council, and a lot of questions were asked about his motivation for that. Attended the Indy Dwell groundbreaking with the rest of council. Seems like some good news there. It will not be without cost, obviously, if we have to upgrade infrastructure, but that's probably been long in coming. anyway, and if we want to take advantage of, future development,
In that area.
we're probably going to have to bite the bullet and do that. Also had the pleasure of attending the Employee Appreciation Luncheon at the Lions Center, and quite a few employees who have been on board with the City of Brawley for quite a few years, and we each had something to say to them, but my comment was that it speaks to, I think, what is a good working environment in the City of Brawley, which is why people come here and stay here and work for years at a time. So it's good to be in the City of Brawley. And Tyler, I just wanted to say, Shirley, you mentioned that she graduated summa cum laude. You and I graduated thank the Lord, so. Don't tell my mother, but that's it. Thank you.
You've been holding that,
Enough
right?
on that.
I was waiting on me.
For like 3 years, you've been waiting for that one. brother?
Yeah, I think so.
Out of the back pocket, like, oh, we'll use it now. You know what I mean?
You never know, you never
good.
know.
And he included you in that,
Yeah,
so
I
I
know.
don't, he didn't involve any of us.
Mr. Mayor, again, thank you to all those, our leaders, as far as the Employee Appreciation Luncheon. I thought it was very well done and refreshing to be back, to do that in person. And I know we had, some of our community business support and whatnot to help, make sure that luncheon happened. So thank you to all those who were involved in it. And I know we sent Shirley out the door, but I think in particular she put some, great effort into making sure that was a good event. So enjoyed being there and being a part of that. As just mentioned, the Indy Dwell project, that groundbreaking, again, exciting. It's just another sign of multiple really unprecedented projects that continue to come to Brawley. So, and I'm going to single you out a little bit there, Tyler, and the comment you made during your comments about being singled out as a business-friendly community. We absolutely are, and I think as the word gets out, that didn't happen by accident. I'll say to anybody, any business, you come to our council and there's no way you're going to walk out of here and not get not only the impression, but more so work with our staff and know that our doors are open for business, and I think Indy Dwell is part of that. I think obviously going to any kind of economic development summary is part of that. So that could not happen, again, with all of our leadership here and our staff. So really big thank you that we continue on this track, and my fellow council members, because God knows we've worked our tails off for years, pushing to see to it that we do get that. So I think George, our Mayor Pro Tem, always says it's in the messaging, something where we fell short in the past. I think we've really upped our game there, and obviously there's always more we can do, but I know that's a big part of it. But and then I think the last item outside of all that, I think we had some representatives from the pool, but I do want to comment to Rachel is Parks and Rec, again, so much of sort of the front gate of our community, our kids, our family. I think we had a public comment today that sort of spoke to that in a way, and I do want to single her out that these accommodations that we try to make with multiple interest groups, they're not easy at times, but to Rachel and your team for helping to make those accommodations, and it really pays, the return on that investment comes back in happy citizens. So again, big kudos there. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also attended the Employee Appreciation Luncheon. It's just interesting to see how many different faces were in there, all the departments, and you think you know everyone, right, being such a small community, but you don't. So first one for me, appreciate that you guys put it on, all that hard work, and I was glad to be there. Also attended the Indy Dwell groundbreaking ceremony. That was the first one for me ever, so it was a pretty neat experience. It's just happy to see, and like Councilmember Warren said, we are a business-friendly community, and we do everything that we can, and we said that to them there. And that's the reason we're asking about infrastructure and where we're at and how we're going to do it. We have to get creative and find ways, but I think it's important for the business community to know that we are actively looking at that, and that we want them to come here, and we're going to do everything we can to have them here. So with that, I want to offer my condolences to the families of the 5 Marines that passed just a few days ago here in an Osprey crash at at Glamis. You know, when about 22 years ago, we had the first Osprey flight go from Yuma to Tucson with actual military personnel on board. And that day, that Osprey crashed, it killed, that was, you know, all our unit, that we were there training in Yuma for, I don't remember the name, the exercise anymore, but, and we lost 22 Marines that day. So, you know, when I see these young men and women out here training and, you know, we think that, that everything's, you know, going well and safe or not, but these guys, you know, we train like we fight, and this happens a lot. So it's just, you know, a reminder of what our troops face every day to keep our country safe. And I just, you know, when I saw that in the news, it just brought back so many memories, and I felt like, you know, we needed to mention it today. And, you know, we appreciate everything that our troops do day in and day out. And we know they're ready to go, and these things are still happening, even stateside, even during training. But we greatly appreciate their hard work and everything they're doing. And so our heartfelt condolences to the family, to the Marine Corps. And, you know, if you guys see these troops out here and you have the ability to say hi to them, go up there and thank them. Trust me, they love it. My kids take pictures with them all the time. And, you know, just very grateful for their service and the fact that they're here and that they chose our city to train in. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Try to keep it very brief, but I've got a few items I'd like to cover. The grocery outlet will be opening here soon, and so we will be attending the opening on Thursday. And so another big celebration for our community as well. And so I also, on behalf of the city and ICTC, I did request for a bus stop to be placed there. I think that'll be beneficial just because it is on the other side of 86. So it looks like they may be able to accommodate that. So that's good news. The Indy Dwell, groundbreaking, fantastic. That's going to provide some opportunity. It's a massive building, over 100,000 square feet. And I'll try to keep the story short. I needed a one-way ride to San Diego after the event, so I just kind of announced it. Anyone going to San Diego? And Paul Crescentia, who is the co-founder of KPRS, which is a construction company doing the work. I had a ride with him. Phenomenal person, I'm telling you. Ultra successful, like just a phenomenal ride. Owns about 10 different companies across the country. That particular company that he owns and operates with the construction, it's like 330 employees. Just phenomenal person, very, very, very humble person. And it's great to see that he's out here going to do some work for us, and he's going to get some subcontractors out here as well and all that sort of stuff. So great person. You never know who you're going to meet on short notice. So that was great, great experience overall. And he gave me a lift. Didn't have to do that. Just a great person, you know. So I would do it for somebody else, and he's the type that would as well. So I appreciate that very much. Employee appreciation luncheon, very well. I want to thank staff for all the work that they did to help put it together. I know, you know, leadership team was out there serving, and everybody took part in that. And so I do appreciate it very much, including council, and for everyone's participation. Thank you all very much. The Economic Development Summit I attended at IVC. For IVDC. I attended briefly. I did miss a portion of it, but good information, nice attendance, and I think there's exciting news coming with lithium energy and the business that it you know, it's proposed to draw. And sometimes it's just sort of the outlying businesses that are going to benefit as well. So that's exciting news. Let's see real quick. The one final item, and I touched on it briefly when Mr. Gonzalez was speaking, and so I did receive a call recently from some business owners here in the city, and we've seen some postings online of concerns from break-ins and other things, and so that's a major concern for our entire community, for our city council as well. But I did want to propose, I know our chief in the past has had a conversation with business leaders, and so you know, I want to see if we can re-engage that, but I would like to actually add another component to it and see if we can maybe get some county law enforcement input and maybe from the DA's office as well. So that way people know like what's taking place and what we can do within the city. I know it's a concern for everybody. I've had my own property broken into. My property's been stolen as well. So it's a concern not just for me, but for everybody out here. I know there's some business leaders in here that I'm sure would benefit from providing input. And, you know, it's not something that goes unnoticed. I think the PD here in the city of Brawley is the best it's been in a long time. So there's a lot to discuss there, but, you know, anyway, I don't want to get too long-winded, but I think if we can set something up, Chief, in the very near future, I think it'd be beneficial to everybody, and we can go and hopefully benefit, you know, the people that are out there doing business and trying to make a dollar. Rates are up, the economy's tougher. I know that personally, and I know that professionally. So it's just going to be tougher for quite some time. So we just have to, you know, buckle up and hang on for a little bit. But, you know, when it's impacting businesses and you're having to pay out of pocket, it's every dollar that goes out and is not coming in is very, very difficult. So anything we can do to help, I think, is going to be of benefit to everybody. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, my input was, we did have a nice Flag Day celebration at our Veterans Wall on June the 14th. It was done in conjunction with the Elks Lodge locally, and many of the veterans were in attendance. It was a great celebration of Flag Day, and we did a modified Elks ceremony, and we also did some speaking as regards that. Councilmember Ramon Castro was there, and I don't know if any of the other council members were able to attend, but Councilmember Ramon Castro was there and spoke. And then we also had Councilmember Amparano from Imperial, who came down. The Boy Scouts did a fantastic job with displaying the flags, and then the Elks Lodge fed everybody after the event. And so we had a good turnout. We had a nice crowd for the first type event of that type, the Flag Day event. And so we're pleased with that. And I was proud to be one of the speakers, so that was great. We had the successful employee luncheon. Appreciate all the effort put out by all the staff, you know, especially Shirley. I think she did a lot of work on that, but other staff members too, Andrea out there, and then some other people around. And so, and then the Indy Dwell groundbreaking, I think that's a great thing for us. It's economic development, it's diversification of our economy. We certainly depend a lot on ag, but we also need diverse economy out there. And we need other things to provide funding for when ag may have bad times, all other economic things may have good times. And so we need that in our community. And I think that benefits our entire Imperial Valley community, and probably also serves to benefit the Mexicali community also. So I think it's a great thing. And then IID donation for summer, I received that today from Dippy Duck, from the IID, and the IID provided City of Brawley with $5,000 for our summer pool and splash pad, I think, activities. And that's a good amount of money, and we appreciate that donation from IID and Dippy Duck. And I had my picture taken with Dippy Duck. George says he can't tell the difference between us, but I think he has a bigger mouth, I think, than I do.
Mr. Mayor, is Dippy Duck a boy or a girl?
Dippy Duck, I believe, is a boy.
Okay.
From all, and I tried to do rabbit ears when we did the picture, and I knocked Dippy Duck's hat off.
Oh,
and so I was held in kind of contempt by the other cities. But other than that, everything went pretty well.
Can't send you anywhere. Can
Yeah, it was not my best moment. Okay, and then grocery outlets opening on the 23rd at 10 a.m. But if you get there at 7 a.m., they're raffling off some gift certificates, and so you can win some prizes for the first 100 people there. They're going to give you some kind of award stuff, but I'm not going to sit there for 3 hours. So I plan to be there around 10 a.m., cut the ribbon, and it's a great thing for us. It's development.
I think it's $1,000, right, in gifts? Right,
yeah, I think something like that.
Yeah, and there was some confusion because I had to clarify today. They said, the first 100 people get $1,000.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, that's not. That's,
no. I noticed that from the flyer today.
Yeah.
No, that's not what it said.
And so I had to
there's
clarify.
a total of $1,000 in certificates given out. Not everybody getting
And so I had to clarify that.
Ramon was interested in going for the 1,000.
I'm sure.
Man, business is slowing down right now.
Okay, and so I'm also have a couple of meetings scheduled with developers who are talking about coming in. So I think we've had a reawakening of development in the city of Brawley and some interest in development in the city of Brawley. So I will be meeting with some people here, and I will fill the council in after those meetings as to where we're headed. I think it's more just a meet the mayor and talk a little bit about what they might have some plans for the city. We have San Diego State expansion. We have other things that are probably going on there in the city, and maybe some new businesses coming in. So I think that'll be a great thing. And with that, concludes my report. So we'll go to item number 9, city attorney report.
So on last Friday, I went to Sacramento for the League of Cities meeting for the Appellate Advocacy Committee of the City Attorney's Division of the City of the League of Cities, and I got to hear about how the city and county of San Francisco has been involved in litigation over the Americans with Disabilities Act, one case for 15 years. They've won twice. It's been on appeal, and it's going back for the third time.
Cost them $1 million.
It's really something. And then the other is more of a city clerk report. Thanks to Carla, we're on track to have our election papers ready for candidates, and we're going to comply with what we have to comply with. And city clerk is a complicated job, and it's a good thing Carla has contacts that know what they're doing, because I don't.
So if you go out as a current mayor, was that like your permanent title after this?
Sure.
Once a mayor, always
It's
a
kind of
mayor.
like in the old South, they talk about a colonel. You just
yeah.
colonel
So
so-and-so.
you're
It
mayor-
never changes. It's always
Colonel
mayor.
Sanders? Making sure. I want to address you properly.
Starbucks calls me the mayor all the time. They've called me mayor for 13 years. I mean, and they put it on my cup and everything. So everybody can continue doing that. You can call me mayor or sir. I'll refer to you by your given name.
Not Raymond, but Ramon.
Yeah, Raymond. That's going to be your given name from now on, Raymond. Yeah, okay. All right, moving right along, the levity and stuff. It's almost approaching, I think, 8 o'clock. And so we'll go to item number 10, closed session. And so thank you all for attending. Appreciate it all. Thank you, everybody.